springen wir zurück 10 und jetzt an Jahr 20.
We are interested to the creative part of your activity, to the starting point of the artistic project. Where do you focus at first your attention? How does everything start? And if you preserve the free approach of your beginnings?
I basically have a very simple rule. I always have notebooks where I write things down. But strangely, I never read them afterwards. But if one idea appears twice, then I know it's an idea what I would like to do, or what is kind of what I like to work on. But I always wait for this moment that I never go for the first idea. I always wait until it comes back again. Mm-hmm. And then this is the way how I distillate that this idea is really something what I'm not just in the moment affected by. So sometimes it takes years when something comes back. Yeah, and most of the ideas I get in situations you probably would not expect when you are in environments or nature, or when I'm let's say I'm seeing something in an exhibition, or it's not necessarily that I see the art. Sometimes it's more like I going to a room where the ventilation system is wrong installed, and I hear a low sound, and then I think, okay, how can you make such a low sound? It sounds like a pipe organ, but actually is a resonating air conditioner, or something like that. There's something very, let's say, things would surround us, and and then once I know I would like to work on it, I make a very clear concept, idea, and most of the time this, maybe because it was sitting so long inside me, it's so clear defined that there's almost no change anymore.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about the procedure, if we can. The piece of art is a consequence of the combination of imagination, creativity and techniques. And in which proportions, I mean, in other words, how much of your work is dedicated to each of them? The cultivation of ideas, the technical studies, and the other parts of your job?
I like to read a lot and do a lot of research in the first place. And I'm very curious, so I'm always very curious about learning things. And very often this kind of moments trigger as well, maybe a work or a creative process, a starting point, let's say. And in terms of technical, refine technically something, I just have to use my knowledge from experiences maybe from before. Sometimes when I set up a work, there is something appearing in a piece, for instance, or in a musical piece or an installation, what I didn't expect. And maybe this is the core for next piece. Mm-hmm. So it's building on top of each other in a way. It's kind of.
And your art is often quite demanding to the public due to the various stimuli, signals given to them. We can say that it talks to the entire body. And how did you thought about these aspects and physical perception related aspects in particular?
Yeah, first of all, I think I'm not very much interested in producing art pieces for an audience. I produce them for myself. And if they work for myself, because I'm, let's say, the hardest critic to myself as well at the same time. So I'm not really thinking about how I present things or how the audience will perceive that or what should happen. First, it has to move me and has to convince me that it's something what I fascinated by. So in a way, this is the most difficult part, that you have to surprise yourself. I have to become the biggest fan of my work in a way, and that's not easy. So,
No.
so, but in the moment I think like I achieve something like that, then I have as well the feeling I can present this, and I think it's very easy to read for some people who have maybe similar feelings. I don't think that my work is necessarily readable to everybody. I don't even think it's necessary. But I think some people who are maybe have a similar feeling of time, or I think we all live in the same time. We're all surrounded by the same influences. So I think it becomes readable to much more people than I would expect, actually.
In this sense, one of the possible new direction of art seems to be given by new technical means towards a real immersive art. You know, augmented reality, virtual reality. Have you ever considered these possibilities? What do you think about could come out from these new techniques?
I'm not so interested in very new technologies. I'm always looking actually a little bit backwards. I'm looking actually into there have been a lot of historical innovations who are being not followed up, for instance. Like when you look at Helmholtz or when you look at Tesla, great inventors, great scientists in a way. A lot of the work what they did is not really understandable today anymore because of bad documentation, or maybe these guys been so much in their own world that the people not understand what they're trying to achieve actually. But for me, this part is actually the part where I think there's been artists as well at the same time, and that's where I'm sometimes starting to getting inspirations or getting very curious about it to follow up on that. I work in general a lot with computers. Like every day, of course, we're all using computers daily. More and more, I get more and more suspicious when I work more and more with digital art. So in a way, like specifically for installations, I try to avoid computers, for instance. Completely different for music production, because the computer is for me the most easiest tool, because I can take it with me. I can work wherever I want to work. There's a great flexibility, and since I'm moving a lot and traveling a lot, I can use any free moment to create, and then that makes the computer possible for me.
Are you interested at the end to the consequences of your art, apart of the physical ones, the intellectual, the social, the political ones? I made the question considering also the fact that your artistic career started in a particular historical period, the DDR period.
Yeah, sure. When I grew up in East Germany, art was pretty much used for propaganda reasons. There was so much accumulation as well to imply political content in it. And for me, one of the biggest freedom is actually that art can be free of that. Until today, I think art should be free of political content. What I'm not saying is that the artist should be not a political thinking person, because I think in whatever we do, it has a political meaning as well.
Art and science are crossing their roads more and more, and there are artistic residencies in scientific institutions and artists using scientific tools. How do you consider this dialogue now from your perspective?
I think that the process of finding or doing artistic research or doing art and or scientific research is very similar. It's something, if you look historically to innovators or people who invent, one of the biggest experience, or let's say one of the biggest sentences you always hear, that people basically been waking up, had a dream, and found a solution. Like found an idea how it should work. So most of what I'm saying is most of the time it's a little bit things out of our consciousness, how to approach things, how to make things, understand things under there. And I think artists work very similar. I think dreams, what is a reality for us is a strong reality. It affects us very strongly. But it's not existing in a way. I mean, we cannot make proof of it or something. But they are they're incredibly important, for us. Yeah.
You've been engaged in art installation and public art, in which sound and natural or artificial landscapes are involved. Which are the main difficulties involved in such projects? The public art ones, with big installations.
The main difficulties in public art is, of course, that you work in an environment what you not 100% control or is out of control in a way. That can be the beauty as well. But in the same time, you have to fight, specifically in public art, you have to fight other strategies. Like for instance, if you do something in a big city. I did a project in Hong Kong, for instance, and one idea was basically to switch off all the advertisement or to make the city dark. It's almost impossible to have such a request because you can't stop the machine in a way. And so I think a lot of artists who would like to achieve something more radical have to go to protected spaces like museums or art spaces so in public you don't necessarily have such a radical impact because you cannot 100% take over something. You're just being part of something.
There are segments or art activities that are trying to get involved the audience in new ways, let's say, through the use of new technologies, through social networks, through the offer of tools like musical or sound apps, for example. In these cases, the artist is more a designer, has more a meiotic function, moving one step behind.
I'm not very interested in these categories. Mm-hmm. I'm not very interested if I'm a designer, or if I'm maybe a researcher, or if I'm an artist, or if I'm a composer. I think in the primary situation as an artist, we are not defining us or let us put in a box. I think whatever tool is available to be creative, it's welcome, and it's not necessarily that you have to define if this is a design idea or if this is a more, let's say, maybe science-oriented work. I don't think it's necessary to tell. The most important of an art piece is that it has energy, in the sense of it can speak to other people, and to achieve this energy, I think anything is welcome.
And when does sound become music? Somebody says when you dance to it.
Okay. I think this is a very individual choice because I work a lot with sound, and for me, I can hear sound in this for instance.
For instance.
So for me, many noises, many kind of surroundings. And there's a great example actually. I think one of the starting point of electronic music, for instance. Many people say that actually the birds is the starting point because they have a very strong, clear, high pitch, and they're very refined in a way. They're very recognizable. So I think one of the biggest inspiration for electronic music was being birds. Yeah. So.
Let's start from nature. So.
Yeah, of course. Nature was always a big inspiration.
For sure. Thank you very much. Thank you, Carsten.